So Georgia will turn 250 years old in 2038, exactly 20 years from right now. My family was enslaved here on this land in Georgia, that we escaped from these hills, that we left as the Klan began to take the land, as Black people began to rise in economic and political power. That's when we moved out of Georgia. So I almost feel a little bit of coming back. I feel a little bit of, my family bloodline has been in this 250-year history in a particular way. And I feel like there's some restoring around the economy that I feel committed to. And I hope that we can do everything in our power as JWJ, as freedom fighters, as economic justice leaders, to get us closer to righting the economy of Georgia before it turns 250. And I have a vision that we can do it in the next 20. I know we can do it in a generation.
I did 15 years in prison. I went in at 20, I came out at 35. I didn't know what an organizer was, but I was always that person that inside the system, I was trying to break down those systems of oppression. Like, we were in a place where just basic human respect, they didn't feel like you were due it. Shannan, she has just been there for me and my family so much. She was telling me about Atlanta Jobs with Justice and Ban the Box. Now I want to live my values. She's taught me that, you know, as a mentor, as a friend, as an executive director.
There's a strong leadership development side that I really, really appreciate about Shannan. She stops into these labor union halls and says, hey, what's up, everybody? Now, what are we doing to make sure that young queer people are at the table? And, you know, this is a labor union full of older folks who were in the civil rights movement, who have grandkids now, who are not quite interested in having some social justice question come into their organizing. But Shannan walks in with someone who is young and is queer and says, I asked that question because I want you to meet my new person, and they're gonna tell you a little bit about what they stand for. And we're gonna find a way to welcome them into our movement.
Jobs with Justice is very important in making sure that we're actually getting out there and like having conversations with folks who are constantly dealing with oppression. Folks never thought that we would win 15 in Georgia, but we've won a lot in some places that we never would imagine. I mean, just last year, City of Atlanta workers are on the path to 15. City of East Point workers are on the path to 15 because of the organizing that's happened.
We can't survive on 725. What do we want? When do we want it?
Right now, it's fight for 15. Do we have the power to make sure that Georgia moves to 15? And all things from the last 3 years says absolutely we do. That even though the world thinks 15 is not really possible in the South, we've made it our business to prove the efficacy and the validity of a $15 wage even in the South, where the state minimum wage is $5.15. We gotta win what we need. And while we are demanding $28 an hour, that's why I love working with Ms. Foundation, that like you all have enabled us to hit a different type of fight around the minimum wage, that we're able to bring in this conversation of reproductive justice in a particular way and connect our networks that is enabling something greater than a $15 conversation, that we're actually talking about what families need. Georgia gotta get ready.
Our voices, our time.
Our voices, our time.
Our voices, our time.
Our voices, our time.